Giorno Giovanna is a perfect character. Oh, sorry, got a little ahead of myself there.
Dang, it's not.
No, of course not. Why are you trusting this man?
I don't know.
Dude.
I always have so much hope for him.
Why? Legit, honestly. Why did you trust him?
I think man, I don't know. Because I see where he could. Okay. He makes bad faith arguments, but they're presented well.
He picked 2 points of a.
You know what? You're right. I don't know why. I legit don't know why.
He legit picked 2 points of the definition and just went, I'm going to argue these points. And then he did so poorly.
You're correct. And he's disingenuous. I don't know why. I just don't know.
Let's try that again. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure isn't exactly a work that would, at first glance, lend itself to nuanced and grounded characterization. However, series
it absolutely does. Because if you look all the way back to Jonathan, when he saves Irina, he goes, I didn't save you because you were a girl or anything. I saved you because I'm a gentleman, and that's what gentlemen do. My first thought is just like, oh, this dude is just doing it because he's a girl and getting bullied. He's like, no, I want to be a gentleman, and that's what I'm going to do. And then he goes home, and he's slurping down wine, and he's throwing up steak in the air and catching it with his mouth, and he's not being a gentleman. Seconds! Part 1! Where is crap?
However, series author Hiroyuki Araki is actually known to be someone who puts a lot of thought into every fiber of his work. In his book, Manga in Theory and Practice, he lays out just how much work he puts into creating the crazy and weird people that inhabit his wacky and bizarre universe, with a massive, immensely detailed spreadsheet being used to catalog numerous aspects of the personality and role in the story.
Have you seen Oda's Whole Cake Island folders?
Dang.
He has a folder on just Big Mom. A ginormous folder on just Big Mom.
And this was just like, yeah, this is in the Dressrosa. Here's my Big Mom stuff. That's 2 arcs from now. We ain't even done with Dressrosa. And I appreciate and respect this man's Araki and he's thinking about this stuff as opposed to other manga, because it just goes, Sasori, what's Sasori? He's just a sad puppet guy. And he doesn't have, here's his parents as a puppet, and he got his granny done. And he thinks about all of this. I respect that. I like that. I'm one to say that Araki is a madman. He's really, really good at what he does, but he's a madman. Not everything works out perfectly because, we got part 5. But this stuff is good. It's good to have this kind of thing. Even for dumb little villains like Vanilla Ice and Arizona Fats.
While it would definitely be fun to properly explore Araki's general approach to character writing, that video already exists by the wonderful X-Forts. So if you're interested, you should go watch that instead. I, however, would like to talk about one very specific character, Part 5's protagonist, Giorno Giovanna. Giorno is a bit of a weird case when it comes to JoJo, as he's one of the least popular characters in the series, often being called boring, uninteresting, and bland.
Pause. No, he's not. He's very popular.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I went through a lot of character polls, top 8 JoJos, and he's very usually on top 3, unless you got weirdo people like us that are just like, yeah, he's boring and stuff like that. I would say, given my experience, I would say 70% of the people go, he is a good character.
I've been looking at a lot of rankings for the parts of JoJo, and people put Part 5 at the top a lot.
Absolutely.
And they put Giorno near the top.
They always
a lot.
do. So this is...
You're going to get Joseph, you might get Josuke, and then you're probably going to get Gio.
That's usually the list. Sometimes Jotaro is thrown in there, but it's not the hatred that you think.
You know who's actually unpopular? Jonathan.
Jonathan is so hated because he's a lame-o and he's a dork. But he's great because of that.
There are a few possible reasons to this.
A few? There's much.
The main cause is that Giorno's character works off of something that many people simply do not expect in JoJo, and therefore immediately dismiss without a second thought. And that something is subtlety. Yes, I know, but hear me out. Most main JoJo's have one standout feature that defines them. Jonathan had his justice boner. Joseph had his line prediction. Jotaro had his yada yada daze.
These are quirks of who the actual characters are. Jotaro is not a yada yada daze man.
That's not his character. He's a lot more than that.
What about all that stuff he just said about Jonathan outside of his quote-unquote justice boner? What about Joseph's eccentricities outside of his, oh, you're going to say this next?
He's a weird dude that dresses up like a lady. He's like, this is a good plan. There's a lot more to these characters.
Josuke had his hair. So when
Oh, Jesus Christ! I hope that was just a joke. A poorly thought out, not funny joke at all. Because Josuke is absolutely a character. He has so much personality.
He goes, we're not going to steal a bunch of money from people. Let's just take the tickets they've already thrown away.
Trash!
Let's take the trash and turn it in. I'm going to beat Rohan no matter what. I'm going to cheat at this dice game to beat this person I hate.
You're not gonna beat up an injured dude, are you? No, I'm not. That's why I already healed you. Oh, now I can beat you up. I'm not so cruel as to beat up an injured dude, no. But you're fine now.
Hey, I'm fine. Yes, you are.
Giorno appears and has no single immediately defining feature, it's easy to see why people are put off. They simply do not expect a character to not.
So, Jotaro's defining feature is yada yada daze? That's why? Because Giorno doesn't have a catchphrase or a quirk?
Like his hair?
That's boring!
He's going immediately definable personality trait. His hair. How is that immediately definable personality trait? He cares about it a lot. But in reality, he talks about his hair maybe 5-6 times during the whole part. Other than that, it's just a character. It's just an appearance. That's all.
Have these immediately recognizable aspects of.
And why is he so upset about his hair? We learn it like halfway through, and it's like, oh wow, that's amazing. So now you can go back with the context of why he hates people talking about his hair.
Great stuff there.
At first, it just seemed like a weird quirk. He's sensitive about his hair, but there's a reason his hair is like that, and there's a reason he's sensitive about it.
As opposed to Gio.
Not have these immediately recognizable aspects of them. Even his dream line, which many people meme.
What's Jolene's? What's Gappy's? Johnny. I click Gappy. What's the other Josuke? What's Jonathan's?
Jonathan is just his boner. But apparently, he wasn't just as heavy
No, he
at the
wasn't.
beginning. It took a long time before, you got the arena thing, but that's just him being a quote-unquote gentleman.
When Zeppeli goes up and goes, let's beat Dio, he wasn't like, all right, let's do it. He said, I can't do this. I don't know I'm done here. And then he had to go hum on and go, okay, teach me that.
Is actually only in the series 3 whole times, so it doesn't quite compare to the character-defining traits of other JoJo's before him. But if you decide to detach yourself from that preconceived notion and pay close attention.
Pause! You introducing preconceived notion! I'm not looking for immediately recognizable bull crap. I'm looking for a character.
I legit never even thought about that.
No!
Until the moment he said it. Like, I never once thought, oh, wow, he's got that line thing, so now I instantly recognize his character. Legitimately, I've never thought about that.
So what are you introducing something to debunk it? What person goes, all right, you got an episode. Tell me everything about your character right now. Oh, you got his hair. Got it. He's a hair guy. That's all he is. Immediately recognizable. No, he's so much more than that. He's a dumb kid. He like, I got all this money. I want some shoes. That's all he wants.
from that preconceived notion and pay close attention to how Giorno carries himself, it is actually pretty easy to find that Giorno is among the most compelling and interesting characters Araki's ever conceived, at least in my opinion. Or you could just watch this video and see if you agree to what you want. I'm not your
Pause. It's easy to see that he's the most compelling character, in my opinion. No, that those two things don't match up.
Yeah. Because if you're gonna, if it's easy to see,
it wouldn't be your opinion.
Yeah. It would just be like, oh wow, this is why he's one of the most compelling. Just like the hair stuff. You see how that crap was easy to see? So it wasn't subtle. So now we got the subtlety of Gio.
Introduced to us as a bit of a crook. Stealing luggage, scamming tourists, and skipping school, this lad seems relatively unruly. This is further compounded by the information that he is, in fact, the son of Dio, big bad of the whole series. However, all of this information also clashes with aspects of his actual attitude and behavior. He is outwardly friendly, charming, and generally seems quite, well, nice.
He had every intention to scam Koichi, so of course he's gonna be nice. He's not gonna be like, hey, get in my cab, you midget. Because of course he wouldn't. He would have to charm him into the cab in order to get his stuff.
Oh, they're gonna charge you like 80 over there. I'll charge you like 35. Come on.
So it's part of his scamming nature to be charming. What's the big deal? Hey, person with a shovel, I have an unbeatable ghost. Could you not mess with me? Otherwise, the unbeatable ghost will put an indent on your head.
So from the get-go, we experience a conflict between these two poles. A conflict that continues to define Giorno, and a conflict he himself seems to be somewhat aware of, as he seems to build various facades and masks to resolve them. When Bucciarati begins his interrogation in the tram, Araki uses that scene to actively show these facades one by one. When Bruno first approaches him, Giorno is relatively relaxed and friendly, as he would be with just anyone, giving an honest answer to Bucciarati's business.
How's that a face? How's that a facade? That's just acting as a normal human would, and you're going, wow, look at him acting as a normal human would. Isn't he perfect?
You know what this is very much sounding like? The way people describe Batman. And you know what? I find Batman very boring.
Nah.
Our question, while still retaining a very relaxed posture. However, after Bruno mentions the possibility of him being a police officer, Giorno shrinks before tensing up, building a first facade of a more reserved and careful young man. And once Bucciarati reveals his intentions, Giorno fully transitions into a dispassionate, cold persona, much more reminiscent of what we saw prior in his confrontation with Luca.
Okay.
So he's reacting to the situations at hand.
Like a human.
Like a human would. It's not a face, it's not a facade. He's going, what would you do in this situation? And he's thinking about it. He's going, oh, I know what you did to Luca, now I'm going to attack you. And he's going, okay, now, if he was just like, okay, sure. What about if I was a police officer? Well, that wouldn't really matter. Then you just go, okay, he's putting up the facade of not caring. There's always an if, and, or a but.
He's sitting there, this dude, hey, can I sit with you? No problem, sure. Why would he feel any type of trepidation there?
Especially since he's got an unbeatable punch ghost.
So he's just like, all right, yeah, sure. Okay. Now, what would you say if I was a police officer? Well, that might be a problem.
What would you do if, hey, it's just your dollar or whatever happened? No, it's not mine. What would you do if it was $1 million? Well, I would take it. What would you do if I was a cop and there was $1 million and I saw you take it? Well, I would bribe you. He's answering his questions as a human would. Why are we attributing human interaction to being a layered and very, oh, look at this facade and the mask that he's putting on? My goodness.
This small scene basically summarizes what Giorno is about. His character revolves around the dichotomy of a kind-hearted soul living a life that requires it to be cruel and cold. Or, in more poetic terms, Giorno is basically a Jonathan that lives in an environment which forces him to be Dio.
Oh. Could you not say the same for Joseph, Josuke, Jolene?
Jotaro.
Could you not say the exact same for all of these characters? Why is this always so attributed to Giorno?
It's so ridiculous. I'm so sick of it. Just because it's immediately definable. You just point to it and go, boom, there. It's so ridiculous. He acts like everyone else is just on one side or the other, or they're like 45% Jonathan and 55 Dio, and it's so ridiculous that this person can be nice and cruel. Wow, what a great character.
To be Dio. As his reaction to the death of Super Mario in the Black Sabbath arc shows us, he is fundamentally a righteous and just individual, yet those qualities are conjoined with a cruel indifference toward...
Isn't that like immediately the justice boner thing you were talking about? So where's the subtlety? Because he's just like...
This was an innocent person, me mad.
What's the difference between the hair?
And then you look at somebody like Josuke, he actively punches through two people to get what he wants. But he's so nice. He did them both for good reason. Even if it was just for an instant, they still felt that pain. But he punched through a hostage and his own mom and heals them instantly. What about that?
that oppose him. And Giorno's central conflict revolves around fully resolving and fusing these aspects of himself into one complete, unique personality.
Pause! Unique! He's unique because he's nice and he's cruel? Because he's a gentleman and he's cruel? That's unique? Are you serious?
Outside of Jonathan, that's basically every JoJo.
It's ridiculous. I'm so sick of this.
I will never understand these people. Legitimately, never understand.
Especially since that's all he got. What did he show of resolve, really? Nothing that he couldn't fix. Jolene's like, I'm put in this prison. There's this brown water and these freaking roach-infested, moldy bread. Y'all think this gonna make me weak? Y'all think this gonna break me? No, I need to keep my strength up. And she eats and she drinks. Come on! But this, he's half Dio and half Jonathan. Perfect character. He's mean and he's nice. I'm so sick of hearing this garbage.
Does by using the aforementioned facades. Fake it till you make it is the name of the game, and Giorno plays it resolutely. In the world of gangsters, he puts on a tough persona and channels his Dio traits while remaining superficially dispassionate, also being an imitation of the mafioso who saved him. This is a direct consequence of the abuse and neglect he suffered as a child, internalizing that showing emotions such as crying is pointless, leading him to default to putting up these dispassionate fronts.
Pause.
But fronts are...
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, jeez, I went off of there.
But fronts are all they are, as he, at heart, remains a teenager who is way in over his head. Brief moments of panic and exasperation, cracks in a mask.
But pause. What about when he's going up against Green Day and Oasis? He's just like, all right, and he's standing in front of a monologue and like, okay, either you're alive or you're not. And if you're alive, this. If you're not, this, and this. He seemed like he had that entire situation under control. There was no facade. There was no mask. There was no trembling. There was nothing. He was just like, I got 4 broken ribs. This happened. I got a detached larynx or whatever happened. And you go, this is what's gonna happen. There was nothing. He was walking up to him calm as could be.
And couldn't you say the actual acting out emotions is the facade for him?
Sure.
And you acting like all the JoJos don't do this again.
Yeah, all the JoJos.
Jonathan, Joseph was always over his head. He stood up to 3 guys and going, give me a month and I'm stomping all y'all fools. Yeah, kill me now because you scared of me. Y'all some punks. So either you kill me now and y'all go to y'all graves knowing y'all were punks, or you give me a month.
Jotaro was also facially dispassionate a lot of the time, except when he expressed surprise and such.
Except for when he goes to his mom and going, "You all right? You seem weak. You need to get some sleep."
What's the difference?
What's the difference? This man's standing up to gods, literal gods. Jonathan going, "I have to beat you because you're my brother, not because I want to or anything." This is... Make another argument! I could do a 15, 20-minute video about Jolene, and it wouldn't say none of this bullshit.
Panic and exasperation, cracks in a mask.
Oh, wow! He's showing emotions! What a great character! He's not always calm and dispassionate. He's showing emotions as a human would. What a great character.
The anime actually goes a step further by having his spoken dialogue be mostly reserved and calm, whereas his inner speech and thoughts are consistently emotional and expressive, both in sub and dub.
覚悟してきてる人ですよね。人を始末しようとするってことは、こいつの攻撃をこれ以上食らうのはまずい。バラバラになっちまう。
However, once he enters...
Okay, so you show his speech, he's standing over Bruno in triumph, calmly going blah 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 blah, and then and then in his thought bubble, he has zippers all through him on the ground, holding his arm in distress.
As opposed to Jonathan going, "Oh, I hope they agree to this deal, otherwise I'm dead." Not Joseph. Jonathan, Joseph, sorry.
I'm just saying, one...
Yeah, no, it's completely different scenes. Absolutely. Yes. If it just zoomed in his mind and he had those thoughts, it was like, oh, maybe he can beat me. But no, it's a completely different scene. Actions occurred in between that. And so it's not a facade. He's worried that he might die because he's getting pulled apart by zippers.
However, once he enters the life of stand battling, this duplicitous mechanism begins to fail him. While bravado and...
Because he's no longer overconfident thanks to his stupid ghost person. He's saying, oh, there's other ghost people out here, and he is beating the shit out of me right now. Is this what my life is going to be? Fighting a bunch of ghost people?
And then, even so, he still has that calm demeanor. Like in Man in the Mirror, where he just goes, "I poisoned myself, y'all. Boogity, boogity, boogity." And it's like, this is just what it is. You can either stay here and die with us, or you can get out.
Confidence are certainly important. They alone cannot make you prevail when pitted against the likes of the Squadra Esecuzione. A central theme of Part 5 is the idea of accepting oneself and one's fate and facing them both head-on, undeterred by what you might encounter and making no excuses.
Pause.
And just like...
Isn't that everyone?
Isn't that every part?
Jonathan was just like, I'm not going to make an excuse. I got to beat Dio. How do I beat him? By training. Well, I guess I'm just dead here. There's nothing to do here. Irina, you get off this ship. Accepting one's fate. Not making excuses. Every single one. Come on.
Like the rest of the cast, Giorno too is forced to confront this idea. In the early fights, Giorno remains relatively inconsequential and faces quite significant barriers. His calm facade fails to convince Abbacchio to cooperate during Soft Machine. He is basically useless against Kraftwerk, bumbles about cluelessly for the majority of Man in the Mirror, and has his ability mostly...
No! Him talking about do not leave Fugo behind is the reason why Abbacchio did not leave him behind. He was trying to figure out the stand. He's not bumbling cluelessly. He's trying to figure out the Fugo, our partner, this dude, our friend, potentially your friend, Mista's friend, Bruno's friend, where did he go? How do I avoid getting done the same? Come on. He's not just standing there. He was the reason why they won. You say for most of it, what about the parts that it wasn't?
perfectly for the majority of Man in the Mirror, and has his ability be mostly unhelpful during White Album.
No! No!
No.
No.
He's the reason they won.
Plant bullets, plants on the ground so they can walk on. The reason that they won.
Mista getting shot in the head and instantly fixed.
What are you talking about? Inexperience, pause. What mistakes did he make? What errors? He couldn't convince Abakio because he didn't like him. What was he supposed to do? Threaten him? No, there's no way that he would have shown his stand in front of him because he said, I'm not going to show my stand in front of you. How do you fix that? Remove yourself from the situation. Craft's work. They ran away on a truck. What can he do? He can't fly yet. So, of course, there's no inexperience there. He was told, wait over there and give me the signal. There's no way that he could reach them in time. Man in the Mirror, he did everything that he could. Trying to convince Abakio not to leave. Trying to figure out how the stand works. What inexperience are you talking about? Babyface, where he evolved his stand. He just went, oh, I didn't know my stand could work like this, and now it does. What inexperience? What is that? B.I.G. I guess I'll just cut off my hands. Transfer it over here. There's no time. Well, good thing I already had a backup plan. Why didn't he just go? Backup plan. Gold Experience Requiem. Punch anything and make it my arm.
Here's the thing.
He doesn't need to overlap his arm in order to do that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Weren't you? That's fine. How is he inexperienced when you're the one who said he always has a plan, is always thinking?
Oh my goodness!
All this other stuff.
That's not the argument that's convenient for this time, so it doesn't matter. It's not his argument right now, so it's not his argument ever.
His experience simply outweighs what little good his facades can do for him. Some people like to call Giorno a Mary Sue or Gary Stu, an overpowered, flawless character that faces little adversity and is therefore uninteresting. This is already an
Yeah, I wouldn't. Is that really what a Mary Sue Gary Stu is?
If you stretch it, I think he just picked because he didn't show where this definition comes from, so I think he picked one to help his argument.
Okay, I always thought Gary Stu was like someone that was unabashedly good without any context of why they're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
that's kind of what it is.
Like they say Rey is in Skywalker.
Yeah,
like
something like that. But yeah, flawless and faces little to no adversity, making the story boring and devoid of tension. No, because you can look at that as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways that you can make the story interesting like that.
And tension, like there's tension in anything. Even a One Punch Man has quote unquote tension. Mm-hmm. So that means literally nothing.
But let's break this down again. A character who is flawless. What is his flaws? Inexperience. Is that a flaw in himself? Because he can improve that. No, he's not impulsive.
He does improve. He's not angry. Roughly a week.
He's not impulsive, angry, stupid, clumsy. Nothing. He's just inexperienced. Faces a little no adversity. Yeah, he faces a lot of adversity. Stand battles. Everybody faces adversity. Making the story boring. Their story boring. That's a very important part. Absolutely.
Yeah, as soon as Babyface happens, he can just heal anything.
Yes, and devoid of tension. He can just heal anything. He healed a bullet shot to the brain.
Instantly.
Completely devoid of tension.
There's no reason for them to go fix Abakio, can't, it's too late. Based on what? Bruno
had a hole in his stomach for so much longer, assumedly. We don't know exactly how long it took, but between them finding Abakio, but again, didn't even try. But
Narancia, they were there at the time. Seconds it could have been done.
And it didn't look like it ruptured anything really important. Lungs, ribs, maybe a liver.
Even if it did, that's not an instantaneous death. He can fix that. I mean, it's no more instantaneous than a bullet to the head.
And especially since once they brought him down, that's when his soul started to fly away. So he was alive for a good point of that. So yeah, flawless character. I'm gonna say he's flawless. Dude, what makes him not flawless? No adversity, whatever. No, he faces plenty of adversity. Making their story boring, absolutely. Giorno's story is boring because I want to be the boss to stop drugs, and then he does.
Why does he like Bruno again? Right next to him is so much more interesting, and it's the same story, except he doesn't want to be the boss. He just wants to stop the drugs. But his story is so much more interesting. Devoid of tension. There's a lot less tension once he gets babyface
even
stuff.
After the whole he can heal people. He can turn anything not living into anything living. So he has nigh unlimited abilities at his fingertips.
That he can feel long range. He can feel life. So if he's searching for someone, if someone is in a building, if it's literally just two people in the building, he feels it and goes, okay, there's a person over there, there's a person over there.
No tension. Hey, is there anybody in this airplane? Well, let's go around there, look, sneak inside, maybe zip aside, peek our head in, send a bullet in. No, I can just touch it and go, no, there's nobody in there. Not even a cockroach. Okay. So that was just a whole scene. Maybe somebody was hiding there. What if there was somebody in there? You instantly go, there's somebody in there. Light it up.
I'll heal it, don't worry.
That's devoid of tension. Tell me it's not.
A misused term, but applying it to Giorno is simply absurd. Giorno's fatal flaw is his inexperience in actually backing up his hard-boiled gangster bravado.
But he won every fight.
What did his inexperience lead to?
After all that, even with that inexperience, he beat Bruno, who was so much more experienced. So his very first fight of a stand battle, he wins against a experienced mafioso, and then and he has no experience. His very first fight.
What he said that I don't even know what's gonna happen if I punch somebody with gold experience. What are the consequences of his inexperience? Did somebody die? Did somebody get put into a trap? No, because Bruno goes. The boss goes, come in here, don't bring anybody else here, no tricks, nothing. He goes, here, take my ladybug. The ladybug that is also a turtle. I'm speaking with you with a walkie-talkie in your face. There were plans there. What inexperience? What detracted?
It causes him to get pretty roughed up and hurt in almost every fight he's in. Having your
Who doesn't get hurt in their fights?
Even Bruno, who's super experienced, got hurt a bunch.
Somebody did the calculations and they said that Mista got shot by his own bullet some 30 times throughout the entire series. That's completely avoidable. But everybody gets roughed up. Literally. There's no fight where people comes out smelling like roses. Even Leaky Eye Luca, he had to feel some sort of shockwave.
And your ribs obliterated doesn't really sound like little adversity. However, as we discussed...
Pause! So, flaw. His flaw is his inexperience.
But again,
that's his flaw.
But he won every fight. He looked at the Abacchio situation and went, okay, I gotta remove myself from this situation. He didn't just keep begging Abacchio. He understood what the situation was and countered what not to do.
In the best way that he possibly could in that moment. Jolene is so headstrong to the point of her death. After the Meteor Man fight, there are two other stand users that walk up to her. They know her ability. She doesn't know their ability. She's beaten up. They're perfectly fine. And she goes off and come on. We fight and I'll take you both on. They could have easily just like beheaded. And there's who knows how many other stand users in that prison at a time. So she could have been a gauntlet. But she just like, bring it the on. And I'll love her for it.
Big Golden Wind video, a consistent element of Part 5 is that to succeed, You have to be willing and able to face your fate head on, not running from it. And that those who manage to do that are inevitably rewarded.
2 people died even though they faced their fate head on. Fugo was not punished despite running.
Abakio helped out some kids, even though he's a hard-boiled dude, and that got him a punch to the gut. He stood there and went, he didn't know his fate, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And Giorno simply embodies this idea. His experience fucks him over multiple times, but every time, his resolve turns those fuck-ups into victory and opportunity. By not letting his failings...
So, he turns his negative into a positive and wins.
So he turned his flaw into a positive, and it's no longer a flaw then. It's a strength. Flawless.
So, what are his flaws? Well, his flaws that he's inexperienced. But he turns that inexperience around because of his resolve. And he turns that into a positive thing. Okay, so what's his flaw? Well, it's his inexperience, but he turns his resolve into... Dude, did you hear yourself? This is ridiculous. Your only flaw that you could come up with is that he's inexperienced.
By not letting his failings stop him and instead diligently and relentlessly pushing forward, giving all for his dream of a drugless Italy, he manages to turn all of his fuck-ups around and come out victorious.
Pause.
He is not...
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
As Josuke was getting put into the book, his own fault, he's like, you better keep me in this book. Otherwise, you're going to get one of these. I just want to tell you that. I want to look you in your eye and tell you that. There are innumerable examples of people screwing up and then just figuring it out. Because that's what JoJo is. It isn't just a punch show like Dragon Ball where you just go, oh, I just got to punch him hard enough or in the right spot or blast him enough. No, you got to think around this stuff. You are attributing this to only Gio. When is everyone? Do you have a counterexample going, here's Jotaro not doing this sort of thing? Here's Josuke not doing this sort of thing. You're just going, Gio does this sort of thing. And nothing else.
Not a flawless character, but rather a character who consistently overcomes his flaws by ways of creativity and ingenuity.
Flaws? You mean flaw?
Flaw. Singular.
Inexperience. And you overcome your experience by gaining experience.
So at a certain point, that's going to bottom out, and he's no longer going to be inexperienced. You can't be experienced in all things. So that's a flaw that anyone can have. Everyone has. But even looking at that, if we're going that he's inexperienced in the world of stand battles and gang stuff, he gains that experience, and at a certain point, he's no longer inexperienced. So then what's his flaw?
In every fight he's in, Giorno either wins or creates an advantage by overcoming his fears, facing his adversary, and using his power.
What fears? What do you mean?
What every single fight? He had Babyface.
Everything else was group battle. What fear did he have with Green Day and Oasis? What was the fear there?
And again, every other person.
Jolene ran head first into her death.
Like a champ. AC/DC shows up as he's training and goes, okay, I guess I'm fighting now. I'm tired of waiting. And they fight, even though he says, like, this is a disadvantage for me. Boom, boom, boom. But they still fight. Come on now. This isn't unique. This isn't a good character. He overcomes his fears and inexperiences and wins. As opposed to everyone who just one-shots their opponents instantly.
Jotaro overcame his fear with Darby, where it's just like, I'm probably not winning this. Hold up.
Josuke overcame sadness and fear over Okuyasu seemingly being dead and just going, now I have to figure out how he's tracking us with these bombs and how to beat him without getting boomed. But no, Gio is the only one that this could be said for. What a great video. What a great character. I'm convinced. Patreon.
using his powers in new and creative ways that the enemy couldn't have predicted. Although he is absent for most
the best part of one of the best parts of part 4. What was the walking stand called?
The walking stand?
Walking stand. Highway Star.
Oh, that one.
The baby. He's like, I need to keep up this speed. There's a baby and a lady right in front of me. How do I get around this situation? I know. Punch the motorcycle, fly over and near reconstruct it, keep moving. Amazing stuff there. As opposed to, well, I made my hand into a motorcycle and then you ate the motorcycle and then the motorcycle turned into a piranha and ate through you. What? How do you track that? You look at Josuke and go, how does he get out of this situation? You're going to come up with that situation within 10 tries because you know what he can do.
And what he can't do.
You look at that situation with Giorno and go, how does he get out of this situation? Ain't nobody in this world thinking of that crap. 1,000,000 times. Put 1,000,000 people in a room and give them 1,000,000 thoughts. None of them are doing that.
His quick thinking allows Mista to find Sale in Capri, and while he bumbles about cluelessly...
Pause. There he is right there. I'm the lookout and I'm looking out and there he is right there. That's quick thinking.
Bumbles about cluelessly for much of the fight in Pompeii, he manages to create the final opening by transmitting the virus onto Illuso. Even in a fight like White Album, where his power alone isn't enough to fully defeat Ghiaccio, he makes the winning move by sacrificing his arm, revealing Gently Weep's ice shards, and inspiring Mista into one last shootout. Giorno consistently outsmarts and outspirits his opponents, being willing to...
Pause. Sounds like experience. Being able to if you're able to outsmart your opposition, does experience matter? If you're both coming in at 0 and not understanding or knowing each other's stand, what does experience matter if you're not Beach Boy? Nothing. So you're just going, he's fighting and he's winning because of his near unbeatable stand.